Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good evening. What's up? What's up? Welcome to a bonus episode of the Daily Mind podcast. Again, I did say from time to time there will be a bonus episode or two, and here's one. So, how was everyone's Saturday? Yes, we are done. Black Friday, that was yesterday. Thanksgiving, a couple of days ago. Now we're moving on. Tomorrow is the first day of December. Already, the last month of the year. It's already have gone by. 2024, man. And I will do a reflective episode. First and foremost, let me apologize for the late timing. I know that I advertised that the episode was going to be between 3 and 7. As you can see, I am late, and that's on me. I went out, something came up, and nothing crazy though. And that was it. Yeah, so I'll be a little bit more punctual with the timing. If I put out a time, if you've been waiting, I do apologize. I know everybody's got things to do. No, he didn't come by today. I knew he would. He probably was faded. No, he didn't come by. No, he didn't. But I was supposed to go to his house too, but he didn't quite make clear what was going on. However, though, thanks for joining the show, everyone. Again, I do apologize. I am late, but I am here nonetheless on this Saturday night. It's cold as shit out there. For the first time today, I saw some flurries come down, and I was like, what the fuck? That's great. You know, we don't snow very much here. You said, what you do today? Oh, I just went to the casino, and I went out and got some a USB splitter. What I'm trying to do is trying to play my sound effects on this on the live. And I figured I might have figured out a way to do it. I had to run to Best Buy, get a USB-C splitter to where I'm going to see if the sound effects do play on the live from the soundboard. I've been watching a lot of videos, so I've been trying to kind of figure that out. Other than that, ran around. That's it. Just kind of get out of the house. You know, most of the time I've been in the house this past 4 days. Anyway, so I'm back. It's a bonus episode. Again, there won't be another episode till Monday. And then all week between Monday and Friday, there will be a show between Monday and Friday. I haven't done that in a while. 5 episodes in a row. Yeah, it's been a minute. Like I said, I like to kind of do the show a little bit sparingly, but nonetheless, here we go. All right, so if you missed the round table last night, man, that was a fucking episode. Again, the round table is every Friday. We just kind of just bullshit. Yeah, you said you'll be going to Friday. I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot you're gonna be out for the whole week, and it won't. You're gonna miss basically every single episode. Hey, Quavo, appreciate the ice cream. Thank you. I know it's a little cold out there for it, but shit, I'll take it nonetheless. Yeah, tonight's episode, I just want to do a quick little bonus episode of the best-selling video game consoles of all time. I know I'm changing gears since last night because the round table, boy, it was a radio show last night. That's how crazy. And to me, I think it was one of the craziest round table episodes I've done. And yeah, that shit was just crazy. I even had to ban a couple of people because, like I said, I'm all about having fun on the show and bullshitting and shit. But I don't got time for kids being kids, like people acting like fucking children on the show, even though I'm a big kid myself. But even I have limits. So maybe they'll come back. Like I said, it's a temporary ban. It was the first one I ever had to do. And it sucks because I'm not that, I don't want to be that kind of person. But sometimes you have to be that kind of person. All right, anyway, tonight I'm going to do an episode on some of the best-selling video games of all time because just recently, there's one console out there with the ridiculous amount of sales that has been, and it's been crowned this for a while as the best-selling video game console of all time. Down below in the chat, if you want to take a guess what that console is, good luck. I mean, it's quite obvious. I think it's quite obvious what's the best-selling game console of all time. No, it's not fucking Atari. If anybody says that, go that way. It's not Atari. But the new limited PS5, that is definitely not the best-selling console. It's kind of hard for the PS5 to be considered the best-selling console. All right, you said the Nintendo Wii. Now, a lot of people will say that the Nintendo Wii is the best-selling console of all time. I will say it's one of the best-selling consoles of all time, but it is not the best-selling console of all time, if you could believe that. So, unfortunately. However, we're going to find out exactly in what place does the Nintendo Wii fall in, all right? And then tell me what's your favorite console. I can tell you right now, I've been playing video games since I was 3. The very first console I played was an NES, so I'm kind of showing how old I am. That's how old I am. It's been a minute, but even now at this age, I still game. I game pretty hard and shit like that. So, and I don't think I'm gonna stop anytime soon. So, all right. So this article was just written a few days ago on IGN. I said that's the best site I think I can use for a reference to the best video game of all time. All right, Quavo, you said it's got to be PlayStation. I don't know. Let's see if you're right about that. I mean, it goes without saying, man. I mean, we'll see. I think it is. All right, now I'm not gonna read the beginning synopsis. It's very clear what this episode's about. No, Microsoft is not better than Sony. We're not doing that. We are not doing that. Chill out. Nah. All right, so it goes to 28 consoles. Can you believe how many consoles have came out in our lifetime or in general? I mean, the very first gaming console came out in 1972. I believe that was the Magnavox Odyssey. Yes, video games go that far back. So, without further ado, we're going to start off with number 28, the Sega Dreamcast. Rest in peace to the Sega Dreamcast. It was a very short-lived console. I swear, very short-lived. It sucks that it didn't. It was a very short-lived console. I swear, very short-lived. It sucks that it didn't really make its mark as much as it should. It sold a little bit over 9 million consoles, and it came out on 9/9/99, basically September 9th, 1999. And I remember how big of a deal the Sega Dreamcast was, man. It was such a big deal, but I think what killed the Sega Dreamcast, and it had some bomb games, what killed the Sega Dreamcast was simply timing. You know, the Sega Saturn didn't do too well, and then the PlayStation came out, the PS2 came out a year later. Not to mention the Sega Dreamcast did not have a DVD player. That is what sunk the Sega Dreamcast. So about the Sega Dreamcast, it says here, it was released in Japan in 1998, but released here in 1999. All right, Rio, you said that's 2 years and 2 days before a crazy day in New York. Yeah, maybe that could have been an omen too. It was just bad timing altogether with that system. Two of the highest rated, highest selling games, believe it or not, on the Sega Dreamcast or rated games was Soul Calibur. I know, because Soul Calibur is one of the best fighting games ever. Not to mention Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and NFL 2K1 was one of the best games to ever be released on the Dreamcast. I think Sonic Adventure definitely was one of the best games. Sonic Adventure, as well as it's just so many of them. But yeah, it only lasted 2 fucking years. It says, according to Sega's 2001 annual report, lifetime sales for the console hit 8 million by March 31st of 2001. Said the day Sega ended Dreamcast production in the first half of the following fiscal year. I mean, 2 years this console barely been out, and it failed. It just failed because it was just bad fucking timing. But I love the Sega Dreamcast. In fact, I'm seeking one as we speak. So anybody knows a place or anyone selling a Sega Dreamcast, let me know. All right, now this next console is part of the reason why, that the Sega Dreamcast failed. All right, number 27, the Sega Saturn. Never had a Sega Saturn. Now, growing up, I would get damn near any console I asked for, or sometimes I didn't even ask for, but I sure in hell did not ask for a Sega Saturn. Now, Sega Saturn was direct competition to the first PlayStation. Needless to say, Sega Saturn did not sell anywhere near fucking PlayStation's numbers. It sold 9.2 million consoles, which is slightly more than the Sega Dreamcast, if you could believe that. Now, Sega Saturn, right? Now, Sega Saturn came out about 1995, came out 94 in Japan, and yeah, it says production status, and it says as of March 31st, 1998, the Saturn has sold a little bit over 8 million consoles when it was discontinued in the US. It was the last official update from Sega, though the console will continue to be sold in Japan for another 2 years. Funny enough, the Sega Dreamcast, after it ended production in here in the States, games were still being released all the way to, like, for what I heard, 2005 for the Sega Dreamcast. So if you go to Japan, there are way more games for the Dreamcast than here in the States, unfortunately. Comment below if you've ever had a Sega Dreamcast. I've had a Sega Dreamcast to the day it broke. At one point I played the Dreamcast without the cover. That's how much I played that shit. All right, this next one, number 26. I've had damn near every single Nintendo console, to even include a Virtual Boy. but I never had this shit. I didn't bother to get this particular console. Number 26, the Wii U. I think Nintendo fucked up with the Wii U, trying to bank off the success of the Wii. And they thought by using the name that it would help to sell consoles. It did not. In fact, the Wii U didn't even come close to as many consoles that was sold of the Wii. The Wii U sold 13.5 million consoles. Came out in 2012. It had a very small, impressive. It had a small run of about maybe 5 years. I don't know anybody that even has a fucking Wii U. In fact, I really say you never had a Wii U either, just the Wii and the Switch. Yeah, I completely skipped over the Wii U. When I seen that shit and found out how much power it had, I was like, yeah, this is just basically trying to capitalize off the Wii name. I'm done with it. So I skipped out, but I do have a Switch, but I'm done with the Wii U. So it ended its production. It was released in the US on November 18th, 2012. Now, typically Nintendo consoles have a lifespan of roughly about 5, maybe 6, 7 years. This was about roughly 5. Because in 2017, the Nintendo Switch came out. Now, the highest rated games for the Wii U was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario World 3D, and of course, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. But that goes without saying. It says, with only 13.5 million sold, the Wii U is Nintendo's worst selling console of all time by a wide margin. However, as former Nintendo of America president told CNN, the lessons learned from the Wii U were crucial in propelling the Switch to success. But 103 million pieces of software was sold for the Wii U. So it sold an incredible amount of games, just didn't sell an incredible amount of consoles. You said, who made Game Boys? Oh, that's Nintendo. Nintendo made the Game Boy. But, this is just straight consoles. All right, number 25. This shit right here, this next console or handheld, took so many batteries, and the batteries didn't even last long, but it was really cool at the time. The Sega Game Gear. Now, for those who remember the Sega Game Gear, it was large. It took 6 AA batteries. You were lucky if you got like the adapter and all that shit. But it sold 13.9 million units of the Sega Game Gear. Now, it even had like Mortal Kombat. It had Sonic. It had all the cool games on it. Of course, limited in terms of production value. But nonetheless, being able to play Mortal Kombat in color on the go is what made this shit like a go-to hit. Now, it was released on October 6, 1990, and it was the direct competition to the Game Boy. The Game Boy had the spinach green screen, but sold way more than this shit, and competition to the Game Boy. The Game Boy had the spinach green screen, but sold way more than this shit, and it took less batteries. Now, the biggest games were Sonic Chaos, Gunstar Heroes, and Streets of Rage 2. Streets of Rage was my shit. Now, it says there are several Game Gear sales totals floating around the web. There's one figure that pointed at about 10 million, and there's another that pointed at about a 12 million or 14 million. But either way, it sold less than 14 million. And the game, all right, Rio, you said the Game Boy Color. Oh, the Game Boy Color was dope because the Game Boy Color came out about the time Pokemon came out. So when Pokemon came out, Game Boy Color sales skyrocketed because all the kids wanted a fucking Game Boy Color just to play Pokemon Red and Blue. All right, number 24, I was super disappointed at this next one here. The PlayStation Vita. God, my wife got me a PlayStation Vita when I was in AIT, and it only sold 14 million. It even had a Call of Duty with it, and it was very, very short. The PlayStation Vita only sold 14 million units. It was released in 2012. And one of the best games on it was Spelunky. I don't know what the fuck that was. I think Sony just kind of gave up on that handheld. It didn't have nearly as much support as the PSP. The PSP was diabolical. This shit here was just awful. The way they did the PS Vita was wrong. Dead wrong. It says, despite a dedicated fan base, Sony's follow-up to the PSP failed to gain a similar foothold in the handheld market, falling well short of its predecessor sales. Yeah, the cool thing about the Vita, though, I think, was the front-facing camera. It had the pad in the back that was like a motion sensor shit, but it didn't cut it, man. It didn't cut it. And in Midnight Club, Dub City on PSP, oh my God. That was one of the best games. I had Midnight Club on PSP, played it religiously. It just looked so good on there, too. Like, it looked pretty close to the PS2 version because all the PSP was was just a handheld PS2, and it looked pretty fucking good. I'm not even gonna lie to you. All right, this next console, number 23, you probably never even heard of before. It came out before the Sega Genesis. I remember playing it. The Sega Master System, very wedge-shaped console. And yes, Rio, movies on the PSP was so dope. It was so good. I had the system, very wedge-shaped console. And yes, Rio, movies on the PSP was so dope. It was so good. I had the Chappelle Show on the PSP, the disc, and people were like, I would sit there on the bus watching it. People were just watching along with me, man. It was dope. Watching the Chappelle Show on the go was dope. Now the Master System sold 20 million units. Again, this came out before the Sega Genesis, so a lot of you, I would say, Google it. You probably never heard of this console, but that's how much it sold. Number 22, the Xbox, the original big-ass Xbox, sold 21 million units. Now, I remember when the Xbox came out, it was a really big fucking deal. A lot of people didn't see this coming, and it introduced us to online play officially. Now, the PS2 had online play, but it wasn't as vast or big as Xbox Live, man. Xbox Live was it. When you got Xbox at this time, you were... But unfortunately, I did get an Xbox that Christmas, and it broke after 2 days. It got some weird yellow light, and it was done. I was mad. Ever since then, I didn't even buy the Xbox. It was a Christmas gift, so... Ever since then, I never bought another Xbox or Microsoft product again. Now, if you buy me an Xbox, I'll take it. But I'm not ever buying myself a fucking Xbox. Now, it came out on November 15th, 2001. And one of the best games on there was Halo and, of course, Grand Theft Auto. It was the first console besides Sony's to have Grand Theft Auto. One of the best games on there was Halo and, of course, Grand Theft Auto. It was the first console besides Sony's to have Grand Theft Auto, and I don't ever think I see Nintendo ever with a Grand Theft Auto game. Probably not. But yeah. Now, this next console I replaced that Xbox with, and it holds a dear space in my heart, the Nintendo GameCube. Yes, people, we slept on the GameCube. The GameCube was a charming console. It looked like a little purple-ass lunchbox, but it had so much little charm to it. Not to mention, it was slightly more powerful than the PS2. Yes, if you could believe that, slightly more powerful than the PS2. It sold 21 million units. Now, it was actually, wait, let me go back and see that. Oh, it sold slightly more than the original Xbox. It was, actually, wait, let me go back and see that. Oh, it sold slightly more than the original Xbox. It did have online play, but that's probably because Mario. It didn't have online play, but that's probably because Mario. Everybody loves Mario games, so kids probably ate this shit up, and that's why it probably sold more. Captain J was going to happy birthday. I want Mario. Everybody loves Mario games, so kids probably ate this shit up, and that's why it probably sold more. Captain J is going to happy birthday. I want everybody to happy birthday to Captain James 994. Not only is he my executive producer, today is also his birthday, so everybody on the chat, whatever, give him a happy birthday, send him a follow. He's a good dude. Happy birthday, James. All right, number 20. Yeah, shout out to the Nintendo GameCube, dude. Oh, God, that was a good console. Number 20, Xbox Series X. Already, that's the current Xbox, already at 27 million and counting as far as consoles. So it already have sold way more than the original Xbox. It was released 4 years ago on November 10th, worldwide, and the highest rated game is Elden Ring. Now, I've seen Elden Ring. It's not my kind of game, but it looks pretty damn good. It says Microsoft has not officially disclosed console sales since 2015, but we have a good idea of Xbox Series X sales through 2023. The publisher reveals 77 million Gen 9 PS5 and Xbox X Series consoles have been sold by the end of 2023. Shout out, I mean, hey man, this new Xbox I like it, but again, like I mentioned before, you will never ever catch me ever buy myself an Xbox. It's just not happening. It's not happening. All right, number 19, the Atari 2600. That old school Atari sold 30 million consoles. It sold more than the PS Vita. That's the sad part. Yeah, Atari 2600 came out September 11th, 1977. You know, the Atari almost single-handedly almost killed video games. Completely. But I will do an episode on the video game crash because believe it or not, there would have probably been no video games ever right now if it wasn't for one company that helped save video games. And I'm not going to reveal who it was unless you're a historian. You should already know. I will reveal that in that episode. But it came out September 11th, 1977. One of the best games and worst games, believe it or not, was Pac-Man. When Pac-Man came out for the Atari, it was the worst thing ever. E.T. was the worst game ever released. In fact, E.T. did so bad that they took a bunch of E.T. cartridges and buried it in the desert. That was no myth. That actually happened because stores were not selling it and they didn't know what to do with it. So they took all those bum-ass Atari games and buried it in the desert. I'm not making this shit up. All right, so, and they didn't know what to do with it. So they took all those bum-ass Atari games and buried it in the desert. I'm not making this shit up. All right, so, yeah, it's bad. And then they came out with the 5200, the 7800, and then the Jaguar. Atari's last console was the Jaguar 64, which was absolute dog shit. All right, number 18. This next console, I used to wake up every morning for this because there was one particular shooter that came out for this game, and no shooting game can beat this one game. In fact, this game crawled so Call of Duty could walk. GoldenEye. And of course, number 18, the Nintendo 64. All right, sold 32 million units. Now, the Nintendo 64 went up against the PlayStation 1, but the PlayStation 1 beat it by far. But the PlayStation 1 didn't have GoldenEye. What sold the Nintendo 64 was GoldenEye, Mario 64, Diddy Kong Racing. No Diddy. It's literally called Diddy Kong Racing, all right? And Perfect Dark. I have South Park for it. In fact, I still have my South Park cartridge as we speak. And of course, Zelda and shit like that. It came out June 23rd, 1996 in Japan. And it came out the same year in the US. Best games, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Perfect Dark, and GoldenEye was the best high-rated games according to IGN. All right, number 17, the Sega Genesis. The Sega Genesis, I don't know. If I had to compare the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, I'm more of a Super Nintendo fan. All right, Rio, you said the NES is your all-time favorite. Super Mario Bros. On it. That's where my gaming started. It started on the NES. And that was my first game. That and Duck Hunt. They used to have one cartridge that had Mario and Duck Hunt on one cartridge. That's what I played. And that to me got me in the video games. And I've been hooked ever since. And yes, we have already just hit 1,000 likes. Thank you. Appreciate it. Share the live. Tell your friends. All right, Sega Genesis sold 35 million consoles. Came out October 29th, 1988. One of the highest rated games, Sonic the Hedgehog and Shining Force 2. Now, I believe if you bought the Sega Genesis at the time, Sonic came with it. So that's what helped it to be the #1 selling game, because when you bought a Genesis, you got a Sonic game with it too. All right, so it says here, not going to read too much into it. But number 16, its competition outsold the Genesis, the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo might have been slower than the Genesis, because the Genesis was a much faster console in terms of GPU. But Super Nintendo just did things better. I don't know, it just did things better. Plus Mario and Zelda and shit. All right, Super Nintendo sold 49.1 million consoles. Just about, let me see what that puts that over to Genesis. It puts it over Genesis by about, come on, stupid ass computer. it beat it by 5 million, basically. A little over 5 million. All right, it was released in 1990. One of the best rated games was Super Mario World 2, Chrono Tiger, and Super Metroid. Super Mario World was one of the first games that came out. I believe this came out about 1990 in the summertime here in the States. Super Mario World is by far the best Mario game ever played. I'm sorry, there's no other Mario game. It was so deep and enriching, and the music was just pretty legendary. It had some really good quality fucking games. All right, number 15, the Xbox One. Xbox One sold 58 million consoles. It was released in 2013. The highest rated game was Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto 5. All right, so, I mean, now in comparison to the PS4, I'm pretty sure the PS4 sold a hell of a lot. So just remember that figure, Xbox One selling 58 million. Let's see what the next one is. The NES, the OG NES. This console, I'm going to just say it. This console single-handedly saved video games. Remember I just mentioned about the video game crash of 1983? Had it not been for the NES, video games would not exist. There were so many consoles and it became a fad. People didn't want to buy them no more. Stores didn't want to sell them no more. But the Japanese took a chance, came out with the NES, even despite the fact that video games were dead at that time. But it caught on. And because of this console right here selling 61 million units is the reason why we still have video games today. The NES. Came out the same year I was born. It came out in 1983 in Japan, but it came out the summer of 1985 here in the States. All right, it says Nintendo's official numbers put NES at over 61 million. The most senior entry on this list, Nintendo's first console went on to generate over 500 million units of software sales. Wow, it's also credited with bringing the video games back from the dead after the video game crash. I told you, Atari damn near killed video games, and the NES, Nintendo, saved video games. So, I mean, you can't think... Shout out to Nintendo, for real. All right, number 13, the PS5. Remember how hard it was to get this damn thing? It sold 65 million units. It's outselling the Xbox Series X. Sorry, Xbox, Microsoft fanboys or whatever. PlayStation is still king. PS5, even despite its slow start, sold 65 million units as of right now. Still going though, but there's not a lot of games coming out for this generation. I'll be honest. The PS2 generation was by far the best generation in gaming. All right, the next one, Nintendo 3DS. And we know the Nintendo Switch basically killed the Nintendo handhelds because they were smart enough to make a console and a handheld together, and it worked. The Nintendo 3DS, I never even had a Nintendo 3DS, believe it or not. I've never had one. And it's kind of sad to say that because it was an awesome fucking thing. It sold 75.9 million units. And it was in direct competition with the PSP. Only difference is like it didn't play movies. It was initially released February 26, 2011 in Japan, and about the same time here in the States. Yeah, I mean, the 3DS was cool, man. And it came in so many different variations. Hey, what's going on, Pickle Rick? Thanks for joining the show. It came in so many variations, had a front-facing camera. It even got internet. You were able to even surf and play online with it. And I think it outsold... No, did it outsell the Vita? I mean, the PSP? I don't think so. But they sold over 300 million software sales. So it was a lot of games that got fucking sold. All right, Rio, you said you would love to go to Japan and see the old school gaming store. Yes, I've heard that their gaming stores, their classic gaming stores are top notch. Top fucking notch. Number 11, the Game Boy Advance. I had one. I definitely had one of these. Sold 81 million units, the Game Boy Advance. Came out in March of 2001. And what the coolest game I think I played on the Game Boy Advance was Tony Hawk. It was a linear 3D game, but it was so cool to play. It even had the sound effects when you do the special tricks, everything. It was dope. It was absolutely dope. Let me see. Next one. I'm just kind of breezing through this episode. Wait a minute. Hold on. We're down to the last 10. The PSP. Yes, it did outsell the DS. The PSP was by far one of the best handhelds ever fucking made. I am in search of another PSP. I will get it in a heartbeat. Movies, games, everything. Sold 82.5 million units. All right, this shit here had no business being ahead of its time the way it was. I swear to God, no other handheld at this time, not even a Game Boy Advance, can touch this shit. It played movies. It went online. It did everything. This shit did everything. You could surf the web on it. Hell, they even had a thing that you can use it as a GPS. Pickle Rick, you still have a PSP? Yo, sell it to me. I will buy it off of you. Give me a price. Yes. And you know what, Rio? Honestly, I don't know what happened to my PSP. I don't know if I sold it or whatever. I have no idea. But, yeah. PSP came out in 2004. I remember the first time I used Wi-Fi on it. Because around that time, Wi-Fi was in its infancy. And it was just coming around. But, man, just the idea of going online and watching you know what on it was just like teenagers were going wild with this thing because it was like, oh, I could watch you know what on this. Oh man, I'm definitely getting a PSP. Mom, I want one. I want one. More like PS porn. All right. Let's see. Number 9, Xbox 360. You know I was not touching an Xbox because of the red ring of death. It was terrible. When the first batch of Xboxes came out, oh my god. They all overheated because of the shitty motherboards that they had. And with that, it was like so many people lost Xboxes. Then they upgraded it. They changed the board and all that, and it worked. And the rest is history. So, I mean, yeah, what a time, though. What a time to the Xbox. My God. Xbox 360 sold 85 million units. Yeah, 85 million units. It started production about November 22nd, 2005. One of the biggest games on there was Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, and BioShock. Yeah, they reported 84 million, so they rounded up to about 85. Big whoop. I mean, don't get me wrong. The difference between the PS3 and the 360 was that the 360 could play DVDs but couldn't play Blu-ray. So some games, unfortunately, have to come on 2 disc versus the same game on the PS3, which was on 1 Blu-ray. Because, again, Blu-ray can hold a hell of a lot more than a DVD. That goes without saying. All right, number 8, it's competition, the PS3. This console sold a little bit more at 87 million, but it was so controversial, this console. And the reason why it was so controversial, because its price, it had 2 tiers, one at $499. No, I believe one at $399, one at $499, or $499 and $599. Either way, this shit was way too expensive and way out of people's reach. Hey, Chiba, what's going on? Hey, thanks for joining. We're just going over a quick bonus episode on best-selling video game consoles. Right now, we're at number 8 with the PS3. Sold 87.5 million units. I remember I didn't get the fat PS3 that came out. I got the 2nd gen, and now I currently have the very crude made, whatchamacallit, that PS3, the one that just has the sliding door tray, and it's ugly, and yeah, it's ugly. I have that one. However, it was released on 2006. One of the best-selling games was Grand Theft Auto 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5 and Uncharted. What made this expensive too, the PS3, was the fact that it was a Blu-ray player. Now, Blu-ray was still in its infancy, and the PS3 helped to bring Blu-ray to life, but you got a Blu-ray player at a very discounted price. Blu-ray players were already expensive, but this particular Blu-ray player, the PS3, you were able to surf online, play video games, and at the first PS3 that came out, you were able to play PS2 and PS1 games on that shit. That's probably why another reason it was so expensive. But eventually they took that feature out to make a cheaper version, and there you go. So if you still got the fat PS3, hold on to that shit. I mean, that thing was beautiful too. It looked like a spacecraft. It was amazing to look at. It really was. It sold 87.5 million. I still got my PS3, just not the fat one that came out at first. All right, now this next one. Now, at the time, this generation was one of the coolest generations because at the time the PS3 came out, the Nintendo Wii came out with the 360. Now, I remember the day the Wii came out, I searched everywhere for one that first day. Now, my ex-girlfriend at the time was working at Toys R Us over at Times Square. She gave me the scoop, like, yo, they had a lot. Because I guess Nintendo and Toys R Us had a deal. And with that deal, they had a bunch of fucking Nintendo Wiis. I got my little bracelet, got online, got me a Wii that same day. It was so easy, and it was cheap because it was only what? It was $200. The Nintendo Wii was $200, and the best part about it was that you got Wii Sports. Wii Sports. They consider Wii Sports one of the top-selling games of all time, but that's not fair because it was bundled with the Nintendo Wii. So for every Nintendo Wii sold, it was a Wii Sports game sold. But again, the Wii Sports, you couldn't buy it by itself. You had to get a Nintendo Wii in order to get Wii Sports. That was the gimmick. All right, Rio, you said you got Switch Sports. It's still fun. I have yet to try Switch Sports. Yeah, I've yet to try it. I gotta get it. I gotta get it. But I remember we played the hell out of Wii Sports, and man, the amount of TVs that broke because of that shit. Because at the time, Nintendo had a very thin, flimsy wrist thing. You know, the string. And when people got a little too crazy with the Nintendo Wii in terms of like the interaction with the tennis ball and all that shit. So when people like used to pitch and swing, the the fucking Wii controller would fly off. And more than likely, since you're standing in front of the TV, it slammed right into the TV screen. So therefore, a lot of people lost TVs. Nintendo got sued, so they came out with a thicker band, right? And at that time, by the time they came out with the thicker band, I think people really started getting lazy with the Wii. Like, instead of people sitting there standing up and swinging, people were just sitting on the couch just... The gimmick has passed, and people were just like, man, I ain't doing all that. I can't believe my phone is dying so fast. The gimmick has passed, and people were just like, man, I ain't doing all that. I can't believe my phone is dying so fast. What is going on with this shit? I might have to run and go get my charger real quick because I can't believe my phone is dying so fast. What is going on with this shit? I might have to run and go get my charger real quick because this shit is indeed dying, and it's dying very quickly, and I don't like it. Let me see. Hold on. I might have to run and go get the charger real quick for my phone. So let me see. Give me 1 second. I'll be back, and I will finish this list. Give me 1 second. 1 sec, peeps. 1 sec. Give me 1 second. I'll be back, and I will finish this list. Give me 1 second. 1 sec, peeps. 1 sec. God, you think these phones will last a while? They sure hell don't. Give me a second. God, you think these phones will last a while? They sure hell don't. Give me a second. They sure don't last as long as they used to. So, give me 1 second, folks. Give me a second, peeps. Oh, hold on. Okay, that's plugged in. I got a whole setup here that's just off the hook. Just ridiculous setup. Give me a sec, peeps. Hopefully it can reach down there. Give me a sec. If I get that plugged in, we're all good. Ah, shit. Damn it. I need a better setup. Give me a sec. Damn, that sucks. The shit I gotta go through with these fucking electronics. I'm back. Sorry about that. The fucking whole thing just fell over. Ay. I just make sure I'm still recording. All right, I'm back. And it's charging. All right, cool. Yep, still recording. Anyway, let's get back to that list, people. So yeah, the Nintendo Wii, man. I need to do a whole episode on just the Nintendo Wii because you had to be there. If you didn't ever own or buy a Nintendo Wii, you just had to be there. That shit was just... It was an incredible fucking console. Gimmicky, yeah, but it didn't seem like that at first. It didn't seem gimmicky because at the time it was interactive. There was no other gaming console quite like it. So people were just like, man, you can move. And because we're always used to just sitting there and just kind of fiddling with the buttons and shit. But we never, ever had that sort of interaction, you know. And then the price point. It was only $200. But it came at a sacrifice because one, for starters, you couldn't play DVDs on it, right? You couldn't play Blu-rays on it. In fact, I don't even think you could play music CDs on it. No, it was just straight games. However, though, it was 100% backwards compatible with the GameCube, not to mention 4 controller ports built into the Wii to where you can play your GameCube games on it. It was fun. It was just great. And because Nintendo is not about having the most flashiest graphics and shit like that. They are in the business of just straight entertainment, and that's exactly what happened when they came out with the Nintendo Wii. In fact, I think one of the episodes this week, I'm gonna do one on the Nintendo Wii because that console in itself is an episode. In fact, too, like even like Sony tried to copy it with the PlayStation Move shit, and then Xbox tried it. It did not catch on to the Wii. Nobody's seen this coming. Like, at all. The Nintendo Wii was just blindsided everybody. It did, and it outsold both the 360 and outsold the PS3. Let that be known. In fact, the Wii's technology is still very much in the Nintendo Switch. So the Nintendo Wii really crawled so that the Switch can walk. Notice I didn't mention the Wii U because the Wii U is trash. And I feel bad for you if you actually did buy a Wii U. Terrible console. Hey, Mia, thank you so much for the roses. I appreciate it. I hope you're a gamer. I hope you're a gamer. Do you game? Let me know what console, Mia, that you play. What's your favorite console, if any? You know what I mean? I'm a Sony guy. I love Nintendo. I started with Nintendo, but I'm more of a Sony guy. I fucks with Sony. I don't fuck with Microsoft. I'm sorry. I had a very traumatic experience with the Xbox, and I ever since then it was just a no-go. Oh, you play Block Blast. Okay, Block Blast. Why does that sound familiar? Is that on Block Blast? Is that like a cell phone game, or is that like an actual console game? It sounds familiar. I'm not too familiar with it. You got to kind of fill me in on Block Blast. But yeah, Nintendo Wii. Oh, it's on your phone. Listen, people, I know what you're thinking. If you play video games on your phone, that's not gaming. Yeah, the fuck it is. Gaming on your cell phone is gaming. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't care if it's Candy Crush to Call of Duty. It's gaming. Because think about it. If gaming on your cell phone wasn't gaming, then why the fuck is Call of Duty on your phone? And you can play with it with a controller and everything. That's gaming. Cell phone games is gaming. And you play Dress to Impress too. I play Dress to Impress. Is that a game too? Is that also on the phone? Again, you got to fill me in. I'm a gamer, but I don't know everything, all right? I'll be honest with you. I'm more of a console guy. I love Candy Crush, so I'm up to like almost level 2800, my old ass. It's on Roblox. Okay, Roblox. I never could get into Roblox. I know it's like extremely popular, but I never could get into it. Pickle Rick, you said, is it gaming when it's on your vape? It depends on the game. It depends on the game. What are you playing on there? Are you playing like Grand Theft Auto on your vape? Or are you playing Tetris? Or what are you playing on there? Then we'll determine whether or not it's actual gaming. This man. Hey, you'd be surprised. Some vapes, I've seen people play like Snake on them and shit. I'm like, man, you take a puff, play some Snake. You take a puff, Tetris. I mean, whatever the hell you playing on your thing. All right, James Leach, you said you never made it past Pong. Wait, hold on, James. Hold on. You never made it past Pong. As in, like, you never played any more video games after Pong? I mean, that's kind of crazy, man. And I never, like, Pong back in the days was a big fucking deal. Even though it was just you turning a knob and doing this shit, listen, it was hours of fun. Hours of fun. I've never played an Atari 2600, I'll be honest with you. But hours of fun. All right, Mia, you said Block Blast is like Tetris. Ooh. Now, I like Tetris. I love puzzle block games. Listen, it would not, if it wasn't for Tetris, we wouldn't have Candy Crush. We won't have Block Blast. We won't have Bust-A-Move. We wouldn't have any of those puzzle games without Tetris. And Tetris, believe it or not, has a very dark history behind it. There's a movie even based on Tetris. Check it out. But yeah, moving right along from the Nintendo Wii. All right, let's see here. All right, what is going on with my brightness here? My screen is kind of dim. Let's see what we got here. Let's see why. It's pretty dim. I guess I'll fix it. That should be good. All right, bet. Now, next console. Let's see what we got here. I'm pretty sure you guys have an idea what's the number one console or best-selling console of all time. In fact, I'll give... Guess below. Guess what... Or tell me what you think is the best-selling console of all time. All right, Rio. Dance Dance Revolution for PS2. I remember when that shit was such a big deal. Dance Dance Revolution or Guitar Hero. Oh, my God. When I worked at Target, Guitar Hero, that's when Guitar Hero was at its peak. They had Guitar Hero Beatles. They had Rock Band. Rock Band was like the competitor to Guitar Hero. But Guitar Hero sold so much more. All right, Pickle Rick, you said GameCube. I just went over the list of GameCube. GameCube, to me, honestly, was slightly better than the PS2. I know you guys are going to want to fight me for that. As far as power, because the GameCube was slightly more powerful than the PS2. The only Achilles heel to the GameCube was that it had those small little Panasonic discs, which limit some games in terms of performance and space. So like GTA, you could not fit on the Nintendo GameCube disc. All right, Rio, you said you stayed up all night when Guitar Hero dropped. Which Guitar Hero did you have though? Because they had there was Guitar Hero 1, 2, 3, the Beatles version. There was so many of them, and it's crazy. Like Guitar Hero is not a thing anymore. Like it was a thing, and it just disappeared, just like that. Like no mention of it ever coming back out again, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it. All right, let's see what else. It's kind of weird. Oh, you had the original red guitar. Okay. I've never played Guitar Hero. I never got into it. But it was at a time where like Dance Dance Revolution and then Rock Band came out. It was all direct competition with each other. All right, we're down to the last 6. All right. The OG of consoles is right here. The PlayStation. The original PlayStation of consoles is right here. The PlayStation. The original PlayStation. Not the PS2, PS3. We're talking the original PlayStation. Comes in at number 6. That's right. Oh, man. I remember the first time I booted up a PlayStation and I heard that sound. It was like crazy. That Japanese, like that shit was crazy to me. But it's coming in at number 6. The PlayStation. The original gray OG sold 102 million units. I mean, nobody's seen this coming. Now, at the time that the PlayStation came out, there were only 2 competitors, Nintendo and Sega. Now, the PlayStation itself has a very interesting history because the PlayStation was almost a Nintendo console. Nintendo and Sony came out with a console called the PlayStation, where it was a disc base, but it looked like a Nintendo. It was a weird thing. And somebody actually bought one too. The prototype, I think somebody bought it. Now, anyway, unfortunately, what happened, as the story goes, all right, Rio, you said Notorious B.I.G. played the Sega Genesis. And he also played the Super Nintendo too, if you ever heard the song. Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. He played them both. But at the time, Nintendo and Sony quietly made a deal to create a console, kind of like a hybrid cartridge, CD kind of deal. They built a prototype. They did. Nintendo quietly backed out of the deal. And Sony was left with nothing. And Sony was like, all right, fuck you, Nintendo. We're going to come out with our own thing. So in 1994, in Japan, they came out with the PlayStation. We got it, of course, a year later. Nobody was expecting this shit because at the time, a CD-based console was not big of a thing. Now, the last one that came out was the Sega CD, which was just basically like an attachment. It was a console in itself, but it was more of an attachment to the Genesis because it couldn't play without the Genesis. So, Sony came up with the PlayStation. It's a very simplistic system. Played CD-ROMs that were only able to hold about 700 megabytes of space. But developers got so much into that disc. We had like whole games like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Cool Borders, Die Hard Trilogy, man. They had some of the best fucking games of that generation, without a doubt. All right, 102 million units sold by Sony. The biggest games that came out was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I had it. And Tekken 3 and Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo changed racing games or racing sim games forever, without a doubt. All right, it says, according to Sony, the original PlayStation's final sale total sits at about 102.4 million, with over 960 million games sold. The original PlayStation. It was just full 3D polygon games. One of the coolest features it had was a CD player. Yes, I still have my PlayStation 1, but I don't have the gray one. I have the remodeled, smaller PS1 that came out, I think around 2000 or 99 or 2000. I have that one. And I still have a nice little collection of of PlayStation 1 games. I got to get more, though. I got to find some more classic game stores. But yes, I still have one. Now, number 5, the PS4. 117 million units sold of the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4, it's a great console, and it showed a lot of promise, especially with the PS4 Pro came out. Now it sold 117 million units. Came out November 15, 2013 here in North America. Almost an hour. I'm almost at an hour. Good. Its production is still ongoing. Yes, people, Sony, listen, stop fucking making PS4 games. The only reason they're still putting shit on PS4 is because they think a lot of people don't have the PS5, which is true. A lot of people still rocking the PS4. I still rock mine, but every new Call of Duty I've gotten so far has been on a PS5. I can't think to buy a new Call of Duty on the PS4 no more. That's taking a step back. But it was because of the gaming shortage of 2020, where all the scalpers and shit bought all those PlayStations, is the reason why. It robbed a lot of people at first, and it robbed Sony of a lot of potential sales. So this shit is still in production. PS4 has been going since 2013. We're talking 11 years. 11 years. Normally, a console's gaming life is roughly, I know for Nintendo it's like 5 to 7 years. Sony, well, 6, 7, 8 years. This shit is still going on in 11 years. You can still get a new PS4 game as we speak. Let it go, people. Listen, it's about time you get a PS5. Get a used one if you have to get a used one, because they are not going to stop making it. And it's holding shit back for the PS5, honestly. The PS5 hasn't even reached its full potential because of this shit. All right, let me see something. All right, Rio, you said what's next for Nintendo? Well, the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is dropping next year. We just don't know when yet. I don't even think it's been revealed. It has not been revealed, but it's more than likely, more than certain, is going to drop next year. That's the next thing for Nintendo. I think Nintendo's done with handhelds. They're no longer doing handhelds. Hey, Caesar, thanks for joining the show. Because what's the point of coming out with a handheld when the Switch is a handheld? Also a console. So that allows Nintendo to put all their resources into one console instead of two different consoles, such as like a console and a handheld. You can focus all your energy and research and development into one thing. All right, PS4 though. All right, that was PS4. Number 4, the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Yes, remember that green spinach screen that you had a hard time looking at in the dark, and you had to buy that fucking lamp to go with it? Yes, Game Boy and Game Boy Color. 118.6 million units sold by Nintendo over the course before the Game Boy Advance. All right. Now the Game Boy came out a long time ago, 1989. Yep. Came out in 1989. One of the biggest games was Metal Gear Solid. Yes, people, Metal Gear Solid is old as shit. It's been around forever. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe and then The Legend of Zelda, The Oracle of Ages. The Game Boy Color. It was a nice size handheld, and I had decent sound, I guess. 4 AA batteries, that's it. Not like Game Gear that had fucking 6 AA batteries, but that was because the Game Gear had a backlight and it had to produce color, which in turn, and a higher graphics card, which in turn means it's going to need more fucking batteries. Game Boy only needed 4 batteries. All right, now the Game Boy says the sales figure comes directly from Nintendo and includes the sale of both the original and the Game Boy Color. 501 million units of software was sold for the console. Yeah. The Game Boy was dope. What helped Game Boy sell a lot more was Pokemon. And Fixfall, what's going on? When is the R. Kelly versus Diddy episode? I knew you. Why I knew you were gonna ask that. Let me kind of change gears real quick. That would be a very difficult episode. I think if we did an episode on R. Kelly versus Diddy, it would have to be like, how will we be able to do that? Because one was a producer and one was an R&B singer. So I don't know how I can make this episode. I will engineer R. Kelly and Diddy. Maybe we could talk about those two in terms of their legal troubles. We can definitely do that because, man, one is serving 30 years right now, and the other one is pending some time. So maybe we could put an R. Kelly Diddy episode, because musically, they can't even be compared because they are two different entities. So we can't quite do that fix, but I'm working on an episode just for you. All right, number 3. Now we're down to the last 3 consoles. Number 3, the Nintendo Switch. Now, the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo learned a thing or two from the Wii U. The Wii U crawled so that the Nintendo Switch can fly. Because if you notice, a lot of the technology that's in the Switch came from the Wii U, which subsequently came from the Nintendo Wii. Now, the Nintendo Switch, the difference between the Wii U and the Switch was that the Wii U, you couldn't take portable. You can use the controller to play portable in your house, but you couldn't like take it with you because it could not disconnect from the console. The Switch is a console, and all Nintendo did was make a gray dock and put it on there. And Rio, you say you love the Switch. Yeah, it's one of the best Nintendo consoles ever. Innovative. Taking the idea of a console, a handheld, and putting them together, and it worked. Again, the Wii U had the idea, but the Wii U had to be within vicinity of the console. You couldn't take the Wii U out in the street like you can take the Nintendo Switch. And Nintendo learned a thing or two about that Wii U because it was a flop. I don't know anybody that's still even playing. I'm surprised Black Ops 2 came out for the Wii U, but no Call of Duty came out for the Switch. I can only hope. My thing is this. I don't know how it will work, but if they can manage to get Call of Duty Mobile or some sort of Call of Duty game on the next Switch, which I don't see any excuse why not, that would help. Playing COD on the go like that, I mean, you already could do it with your cell phone, but on a Nintendo console, that would be cool because we haven't had a Call of Duty on the Nintendo console since the Wii U. So it's been a little minute. All right, the Nintendo Switch, still ongoing in production. It came out worldwide on March 3rd, 2017, which that's also the rumor, Rio, that they're pointing at a springtime time frame for the Nintendo Switch 2 to come out, which I also heard is completely backwards compatible with the original Switch. And if that's the case, that is going to be an absolute win. All right, one of the best games, highest rated games on the Nintendo Switch is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are some of the highest rated games on the Nintendo Switch. Now, it said by the end of 2022, Nintendo Switch became the third best-selling video game console of all time, even outselling the Wii. Passing the lifetime sales totals of PS4 and GameCube. Its sales total as of September this year now sits at about 146 million, closing in on Nintendo's best-selling hardware, the Nintendo DS. Honestly, I think by the time the Switch 2 comes out, I think by then it will already have outsold the DS. Which is why I said that I don't think there's ever going to be a separate Nintendo handheld ever coming out again. Now it says, according to Nintendo, over 1.3 billion people, not million, 1.3 billion software units was sold for the Switch, most than any other Nintendo console before it. It says that Mario Kart Deluxe 8 remains the console's best-selling video game with more than 64 million units sold. The Switch combines the console and handheld business lines Nintendo formerly supported with separate hardware and software. It saves so much money to it. In the research and development, they could put more resources and power into a hybrid console handheld rather than one division just working on handhelds and the other division working on consoles. All right, now, number 2. All right, we're down to the last 2. Take a guess real quick as I read over the Nintendo, that's number 2, Nintendo DS. Take a guess what's the number 1 selling console. Write it down on the bottom. Take a guess. Some of you might be wrong. Some of you might be right because I haven't gotten to it yet, but it should come as no surprise on what's the number 1 selling gaming console of all time. I'm talking about since 1972, since the Odyssey came out. Number 2, the Nintendo DS. Direct competition to the PSP. Now, they were both fundamentally Nintendo DS. Direct competition to the PSP. Now, they were both fundamentally different. I mean, I guess they were fundamentally the same. They're handhelds, but they were so much different. What made the DS special was that it had 2 screens. That's why DS, dual screen. It sold 154 million units. And it came out in different variations, too. I mean, you had the 3DS, the 3DS XL, And of course the OG DS. You had a lot of shit, and it just looked so good too. It was amazing. And sadly, I didn't have one. I never had one. I only had a PSP because I'm more of a Sony fanboy than a Nintendo fanboy, and it's sad because I started with Nintendo, but yeah, I mean Nintendo DS though, it was a powerhouse. It had internet, the stylus, being able to like point at things and click things. So like kids had like their own little fucking tablet kind of thing going on where they could just click and touch screens. And touchscreen was in its infancy when it came to shit. PSP was not touchscreen. That was the one feature that was missing on the PSP, but you could watch movies on the PSP. You could surf the internet on both of them. I'm pretty sure there might have been some restrictions in case you wanted to watch some naughty stuff on your Nintendo DS, which is creepy anyway. But they both were powerhouses. Now, it came out November 21st, 2004 here in America. And Captain James, yes, thank you for the likes. Keep sending the likes. Thanks for joining, Carolina. I gotta drag this little puzzle piece because I'm almost an hour into the show. Yes, I'm good. All right, so best-selling, highest-rated games on the Nintendo DS was Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, Flipnote Studio, and Chrono Tiger. Surprisingly, not Nintendogs. You guys remember Nintendogs when it came out? You had virtual dogs, kind of like Tamagotchis and Nano Pets a few years before it. It was a game where you played with dogs. The cutest fucking game ever to come out on a Nintendo console. Nintendogs. That didn't sell a lot. That should have been like one of the top selling games. Or at least one of the highest rated games anyway. And the fact that you could play online. You could play Mario Kart online. They even had Smash Bros on here. You could play that online. It was dope playing this online, but not very stable. Nintendo's online is not the most stable. Especially when it came to trying to play the Smash Bros on the Wii online. Oh, it was so skippy. It was bad. The connections were bad. Your characters were just doing this shit. It was just a terrible way. It was bad, but I guess it also depended on your internet connection. So, I mean, yeah. All right, it says the sales figures come directly from Nintendo and encompasses total sales for all systems within the DS family. Because, again, they came out with different DS variations. All right, Rio, you said you never played online for the Switch. I have. It's pretty stable. I played Mario Kart. I get my ass kicked on that shit all the time because the Japanese players be fucking me up. It says, including the original model, the DS Lite, DSi, Nintendo DS is also the company's best performing system in terms of software sales, with nearly 950 million games sold. And yes, you do have to pay to play online, but it's really cheap. I think the starting is like less than $10 for like a 1 month membership, and you got to pay a membership. It's like Sony and Microsoft. But at one point, Nintendo used to have free online. But Sony also had free online. Little history tidbit. You guys remember that whole Sony mishap back in 2010 where everybody got hacked, their accounts got hacked, shit fucked up. Since then, if you notice, Sony has never had online free again. So, because at the time that happened, the PS3 was free to play online, and you had to pay to play on Xbox, but it was way more stable, it was more secure, and it proved it. Because I remember when my account got hacked, the crazy part was I didn't lose any money on my credit cards, and nothing was fucked up. But somehow I was so mad because I had Modern Warfare, the original OG Modern Warfare, and what happened was that by the time the video game, the online crash was over, my account was prestiged. I didn't grind or nothing. It was automatically prestige. I was so mad. Because the idea, the best part about a new Call of Duty is grinding to prestige. It was prestige before I even got to prestige. I couldn't believe it. I don't know to count that as a win or a loss. Either way, that shit was crazy. And then, like, oh, it was bad. It was fucking bad. But, yeah, Nintendo was also online. And this shit was free online for a bit, too. Now you got to pay for it. I mean, because now you got to think, they learned from the Sony 2010 hack, which their online was down for a whole month. You couldn't play online at all, and there was no cross-platforming at the time. So if you were a PlayStation owner and you wanted to play COD online, you couldn't for a whole month. It was bad. Sony learned their lesson since then. Now, the part you all been waiting for. The number one. So I'm going to give you guys another minute to tell me or take a guess what you think is the #1 selling video game console of all time. Rio, you said the PS2. Let me get one more answer out of anybody. What you guys think is the best-selling console of all time? Because I think it's quite obvious. And it's from a company who didn't even start in video games at all. That's the crazy part. Now, this figure on this #1 console has just been released just this past week. These are exact sales. Hey, thanks Justin for the roses, man. Appreciate it. You got Skibidi in your title. I like that. Justin, take a guess what you think is the #1 selling console of all time. I'll take one more guess. Somebody, Rio, said the PS2. Let's see. All right, Justin, you said the PS5? I don't know if it's the best-selling console of all time. I mean, it's still in production. All right, facts. You said the Xbox 360. I mean, it's up there in sales. It was on this list, but I don't even think it was in the top 10 on this list. Actually, the Xbox 360. Let me scroll back up real quick for you. The Xbox 360. I know I've seen it up here. The Xbox 360. Let me just, where are we at? God damn it. Give me a sec, peeps. Xbox 360. I just seen that shit too. It was somewhere here, but it was definitely not #1. But I mean, shit, it did sell a lot. That goes without saying. It sold a lot, but it definitely was not. Let me see. I'm trying to see where was the Xbox 360. I'm still scrolling down the list to see exactly in what place was the Xbox 360 in.
That's not true.
I'm still looking. All right, now I'm down to the top 10. Maybe it might have been in the top 10. Yes, it was actually #9 on this list, and the Xbox 360 sold 85 million units. All right, I took the two guesses. Let's get to the #1 best-selling console of all time, according to IGN. And it's not just IGN, okay? I checked many a fucking list, and this console was on every single one as the #1. Oh my God, stop scrolling, you stupid ass page. I swear to God. Damn, if I could fix this, give me a second, people. All right, the #1 selling console of all time, the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 is the #1 best-selling console of all time as of this month. The PS2 sold 160 million units as of this month. The PS2, I could give you millions of reasons why the PS2 absolutely deserves this spot. The PS2 lived throughout one of the best gaming generations of all time. We've seen some hits come out of the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox era. That goes without saying. Now, the PS2, if I remember, went all the way up to about, because the PS3 dropped in 2006. So I think one of the last PS2 games to come out was Call of Duty World at War. I think that was probably the last one to come out, and that was in 2007. So this game had a 7-year run. The PS4 has an 11-year run and not even close to this many fucking sold. This console here was a really big deal. In fact, the PS2 single-handedly killed the Dreamcast. Period. When the Dreamcast came out a year before the PlayStation 2, it was a big deal. But there was the one thing that killed the Dreamcast that the PS2 had, and it was a fucking DVD player. It was probably one of the best values of a DVD player you could ever have. It played PS1 games, every single title. It played DVD games. It played DVDs. It played PS2 games. It played music CDs. Eventually, you were able to play online with it. It was just a fantastic console. And no matter how you played it, laying down or standing up. Yeah. All right, Rio, you said Pro Evolution Soccer was the last game PS2 ever released. Okay. I stand corrected. Pro Soccer was the last game on the PS2. And we're talking like 2007, 2008. For a system with such a short run, that is impressive. But there's a lot of reasons why the PS2 did as well as it did and why it's still highly sought out. I still got my PS2, not the skinny one. I still got the fat OG PS2, which was the best. There was nothing more satisfying than putting the game in, hearing the disc tray close, and hearing that shit spool up. But when it played the blue disc games, it was so noisy though. These are CD-ROM games, but when they played the DVD-based games, it was alright. One of the games, there's one game in particular that helped the PS2 sell as much as it did. In fact, I think this game is also one of the #1 sold games on that console. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is one of the highest, if not the highest selling game on that console. In fact, it is what also helped PS2 sales, because at the time, it only came out for the PS2, and then Microsoft fanboys were crying about, oh, why we can't get Grand Theft Auto, and eventually San Andreas did come out for the Xbox. Along with all the other OG Grand Theft Autos, they were ported onto the Xbox, and this is why now you see Grand Theft Auto titles on Xbox. It's because Microsoft fanboys cried about it. But, let's be honest, it helped a lot. It really helped a lot. Hey, Anna, what's going on? Hopefully you're having a good night. It's a much more calm show than this time. I'm talking about some of the best-selling video games of all time. And #1 was the PS2. Oh, you're working on a Saturday. Well, you know, the grind doesn't stop. It's all good. There'll be many shows this week coming up that you could join when you have the time, all right? Hopefully you have a great day at work. The PS2 was work. That was just a marvel of a console that caught Sega, Nintendo completely off guard. But Microsoft, when they came out with the Xbox, it was called Project Midway. It's a reference to World War II to end Sony and Nintendo. Never happened. They're still in competition to this day. Listen, PS2, all right, came out March 4th, 2000 in Japan, but it came out in 2001 here in the States. I remember I got it for Christmas. The highest rated game was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, which by far is one of the best, if not the best Tony Hawk game to ever come out. In fact, I'm going to do an episode on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, from the best to the worst Tony Hawk games, because I can tell you right now, the worst Tony Hawk game I've ever played was Downhill Jam for the Nintendo Wii. That was by far an awful fucking game. I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they came out with that. Now, I'm going to read about the PS2. The PlayStation 2. Wait, I think I might have a guest on here. Let's see what we got. Chase. Sound familiar. Hey, what's going on, Chase? We'll give him a second. Oh, Anna, you said the original PlayStation was fire. Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. We just lost that person. It's all good. I guess they'll try again some other time. But no, the PS1, oh my God, when that startup screen came up and you hear that, oh man, it was just amazing. It says the PlayStation 2 remains the best-selling video game console of all time. I don't think anything is ever going to beat this, ever. Not the PS4, not the Switch, nothing. What's going on, Chase?
Yo. What's up?
Nothing much, man. What's going on?
How are you? You like the PS4?
Yeah, I'm a big Sony person, man. But I'd say the PS1 was the best one of all time. Yeah. So right here it says the PlayStation 2 remains the best-selling video game console of all time. What's going on, Chase? You good back there?
My bad.
Yeah. So, all right, the PS2 is the biggest game console of all time. Yeah, you're making a lot of noise, man. Yeah, time for you to go. All right, so it says Sony's beloved system tops Nintendo DS by roughly 5 million units sold, while handily outselling every other console in its existence. Like I said, it says as of January 31st, 2011, that's my birthday, by the way, the Sony has sold 150 million PlayStation 2s to retailers. While that was the last official total reported, the console will remain in production through early 2013. That's crazy, because at that time, the PS4 just came out. Yeah, tell me about it. I didn't even know. I thought production stopped around the time the PS3, well, no, the PS3 came out in 2006. So I thought maybe a year or two after that, the PS2 was done. No, 2013, they were still making PS2s. Jesus. It says Nikko Partners analyst Daniel Ahmad noted sales climbed to 155 million through March of 2012. That means people were still buying new PS2s in 2012 into 2013. We crunched the numbers and arrived at the 159 million estimated of cumulative sales. The console softwares sold at 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion PS2 games were sold. You cannot make this up. According to Sony, that thanks to its massive install base and some of the best PS2 games of all time. I'm going to tell you one of the best fighting games I played on the PS2, Def Jam Fight for New York. I still have my copy right there in my collection. All right, Anna, you said, and when did the PS2 come out? I missed that. It came out October. Okay, so in Japan, it came out March of 2000, but here in the States, it came out October that same year. And one of the first games on it was Gran Turismo, I believe, was one of the first games on it. Oh, you've been an oh man. Come on, I thought you were my friend. Xbox? Oh, no. Xbox, no. I'm sorry. I had a traumatic experience with an Xbox. I'll give you the story real quick. We're going to go back to Christmas of 2001. Right when the Xbox came out, I got an Xbox. And I got a PS2 along with that Christmas too. I got both of them. Yeah, I was kind of a spoiled kid. So we get the Xbox 2 days in. My cousin plays Halo. He puts Halo in the Xbox and the shit broke. It got a yellow light and it was never fixed ever. In fact, we tried fixing it. It was a birthday present from my mom. Not birthday, I'm sorry. It was a Christmas present from my mom and she threw away the receipt so that we couldn't even take the damn thing back. And we were stuck with a broke Xbox. It was sad. Oh my, 2 days. Can you imagine? One of the biggest consoles of the time breaks 2 days out the box. I was hurt. And you know what? Ever since then, I never bought another Xbox ever again. Now, Anna, if you want to buy me an Xbox or anybody want to buy me an Xbox, I will take it. But coming out of my own pocket, I'm never buying an Xbox ever. So you know what I did? When that Xbox broke, I saved some money and I went and bought a Nintendo GameCube. I am not fucking joking. I bought a Nintendo GameCube and never looked back since. You laugh, but the GameCube was pretty dope. I love the GameCube. Oh man, I was hurt, but I never bought another Xbox again. So I said, fuck no, absolutely not. Let me see. But yeah, that's the top 28 video game consoles of all time. Yes. Oh, when you switch jobs, I got you. All right, I bet. When you switch jobs, you let me know. I'll give you my address. You send me an Xbox, and I'll be damned if I buy one. And the GameCube, oh, I love the GameCube. The GameCube, now, like I said earlier in the show, was slightly more powerful than the PS2. It performed a little bit better. Load times was a little bit better. Some games suffered because putting a game on that little disc was bad. Like, let me see. Hold on. Anna, you said my friend always loved playing Zelda on her GameCube. Oh, yeah. The Wind Waker was one of the top games where it looked like a little cartoon. That art style of Zelda, I remember that. And some other, it was like maybe 2 or 3 Zelda games, I think, that dropped on that console. But the GameCube has a special place in my heart, man, because like I remember playing Beautiful Joe on it. I played Smash Bros on it. I played Crazy Taxi on it. I played a lot of games on the GameCube. In fact, I'm still looking to buy a GameCube. Like I have a Wii and I have a small little collection of Nintendo GameCube games, but I don't have the actual console. It was so cool, that little console and the little orange light and shit. I mean, I like the GameCube. And yes, I'm not ashamed of replacing my Xbox with a fucking GameCube because at least the GameCube worked, right? It didn't break on me. It didn't fail on me. It worked every goddamn time. Anna, you said when you were like 8 or 9, my uncle played Sims on the PC and I just took over that and got a PC. See, I didn't know you were a PC gamer. Like, there's not a lot of women that game on a PC, which is crazy because, forever and a day, video games was always looked at as a boy thing. And now there are more female gamers than ever before. But I hear about them a lot on consoles and not really on PC. But that's pretty dope, though. I mean, let me ask you, Anna, what is your favorite game of all time? It looked like you might say The Sims, but you say you only typically play The Sims on your PC, and sometimes I play Dead by Daylight. Okay, I've heard of that game. Never played it, though. It's not really, it's not exactly my genre. But what is your favorite game of all time? I mean, I could go on. I don't even have a favorite game. One of my favorites, I would say favorites, is Crash Bandicoot. I absolutely love Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, he's been through some shit in the first and throughout some years with some really shitty games. But Crash Bandicoot is definitely, like, on the OG PlayStation, fantastic. Oh my god. What hurt me about that, Anna, about when, you know how they remade the Crash games, the original 3? What hurt me about that was that the remakes of those games were harder than the originals. It's almost, to me, unplayable. Like, I got the original Crash Bandicoot games, I think minus part 2 for the PS1, but I got the remake that they came out, the remasters, and they are harder than the originals. How do you make a Crash Bandicoot game or remake one completely from scratch and then just make it harder than the original ones? It kind of like stole the nostalgia away from me because I was like, man, but you know what? If I want to go back to an easier Crash, I just go and, you know, plug in the PS1 and just play Crash. That's it. Chris, what's going on? Talking about the best top selling video game consoles of all time. I've already revealed that the PlayStation 2 is the best selling console of all time with 160 million units as of this year. Actually, as of last month, I think 160 million units. No fucking Xbox is going to do that. I promise you. I don't think ever an Xbox is going to sell that much. It don't even look like it will. I mean, the PS2 again had some banger games. Def Jam Fight for New York, San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto 3. It had so much shit. And that's where Call of Duty was born. Well, actually the PC, but no. It was on the consoles too. That's right, it was on the consoles. Oh man, it just, you know, all the nostalgia. Albino Monkey, hey, good evening. What's going on, Albino Monkey? What's up? Hey, we had some people on there last night pretending to be you. They were like, oh, we know Albino Monkey. It might have been that dude with the deep voice. I had to ban him from the show because he was being a fucking idiot because he was making weird sounds and it sounded like he had a whole bunch of kids locked up in his basement. It was fucking weird. But yeah. I'm glad you're on the show. We're talking about, or we're just wrapping up. Yeah, exactly. They were all being lame. Oh, I couldn't stand them. I had to get them off. I haven't even unbanned them. I don't think I will because they were just like all over the fucking place. They gave me a fucking headache. But no, I listened to the whole show again, and I was rolling. That was a funny ass show last night. I'm not even gonna hold you. It was so much fun. I was listening to it in my car as I was driving because what I do is after the first play that I get recorded from somebody on Spotify, I go ahead and I play the episode. I hear it myself, and it was just, it sounded like a complete radio show. My God. But yeah, I'm definitely not gonna. Those dudes are staying off my fucking show. It's one thing to play around, but when you start making my regular guests uncomfortable, you gotta fucking go. You out of there. So, and I'm so glad you were on the show, and most importantly, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. You were a great guest. Is Captain James talking to you though? I know did he actually hit you up after the show? Let me know. Also, remember today's his birthday too. So yeah, today's his birthday. But no, that was a fun ass show last night. People, if you get a chance on Fridays, and there will be one this upcoming Friday, the round table, please join us on the round table. It's like a whole radio show thing happening. It's a lot of fun. Oh, you say he hit you up once and nothing after that. Yeah, that's him for you. Don't bother too much about him. That man's all over the place. Good dude though. He's awesome dude, but he's basically like all over the place. So I don't know, but oh, but that was a fun show. So before I wrap up this show tonight, this was just a bonus episode. It wasn't scheduled. I will definitely put the schedule for the show tonight. There will be a show every day this week between Monday and Friday. Yes, there will be. Definitely no bonus episode tomorrow for sure. I got a lot of shit to do. Albino Monkey, today I went over the top selling video game consoles of all time. I went through 28 of them, starting from the Sega Dreamcast and the number one console, which was the PlayStation 2, which sold at 160 million units, dude. I mean, PS2. Hey, Albino, you ever had a PS2? I know I still have mine. It's not plugged up, though, and I got to find the original controllers for it because those third-party controllers are trash. But I need to find them. Oh, you had a PS3. Okay. So, what was the first console you ever played? Because I ask people this shit, and that kind of reveals their age a little bit. For me, it's the NES. I played the NES for the first time, so that should already tell you my age range. Okay, your first console was a PS3, so you're a 2000s kid, or at least a late 90s kid, I think, because PS3 came out in 2006. So for you, you would be like a late 90s kid, or yeah, early, mid to late 90s kid. Anna, no way. Your first was Atari. We're talking like the very first Atari 2600. We're talking that, right? Let me tell you something. You go to Walmart, they got this crazy Atari console that has over 200 Atari games on it. It was only like 60 something dollars on Black Friday. I should have bought it because when I went back today, I think they were all sold out. All right, Anna, yeah, Atari. Whoa. That wasn't even my first console. NES was my first console, but Atari. And then, jeez, Albino, you got a PS3 when you were 5. See, I kind of figured you were a 2000s kid. Because when you said PS5 was your console, I was like, yeah, he's fairly young. Like I said, that gives the age away somewhat when it comes to consoles and shit like that. Let me see if I got somebody. I got a guest on here. I think that's popping up, even though we're about to wrap up the show. What's going on, official?
Yo, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on, man? Happy Saturday to you. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
Good, man. I'm talking about tonight on this podcast. You're actually on the podcast right now. Going over the best-selling video game consoles of all time. You play video games? I think he paused. Man, what's going on? I need guests that's going to be more stable. Anyway, before I wrap up the show, again, no bonus episode, anything at all tomorrow. That's not happening. It's December. I got a lot of shit to do. I lit my Christmas tree up today, which is pretty cool. Well, actually, no, I did that Friday, whatever. But there will be a show. All right, Albino, you said you would have joined, but you're in a noisy environment. Oh, yeah. Hey, thank you for that, because last night we had these goons on, and they sound like they had a whole bunch of kids locked up in their basement, and I had to cut them the fuck off, man. I was just like, nah. And Anna, you enjoy your Sunday as well. Absolutely, don't work too hard. And Atari, I can't believe Atari was your first console. And I'm supposed to be the gamer here, and that wasn't even my first console, but you're amazing. You're an amazing person. All right. Albino, you said, yeah, they're terrible. Yeah, they are terrible. Albino Monkey, let me ask you, because I think you're related to these yahoos from last night. Are they like your fucking cousins or something? Because they were pissing me off last night. I swear to God. That dude with the deep voice that you mentioned showed up on the show last night doing some crazy shit. All right, Andy, you said you're going to be rotting in bed, doing laundry, and going to the gym. No work tomorrow. Well, make sure you take some time for yourself. Don't work too hard. Enjoy. But yes, absolutely. Get in what you got to get in. To me, what I like to do on Sundays, I like to do, general cleaning, start, cleaning. I got to start packing soon as well. And I might take a step outside somewhere, stuff like that. But that's kind of my day. Laundry, cleaning. I put my R&B music on, and I just go to town. Like, I'm sitting there just cleaning. Well, I'm not going to reveal that yet, actually, and that's still in the air. I'm in the military, so where I'm going is going to be a monumental shift to the show. In fact, I will message you offline on this one. I don't want to make the big reveal yet, but after the show, I will message you where exactly I'm going. And Albino, cousins, nephews, and nieces. All right, man, let me tell you something, all right? Your cousins, nephews, and nieces are fucking loud and crazy, all right? They were pissing off me and my guests, and they were making weird, ridiculous noises. I don't know how you put up with that shit. Bless you. Bless your heart that you have to put up with that crazy shit. I swear to God, because last night was like a TV. It was crazy last night. It was a great roundtable episode, but I swear to God, dude, they had me. I had to cut them off quite a few times. I had to cut them off. Hey, Devin, what's going on?
Hi.
Hey, is this a kid? Devin? Hey, Devin, you there?
Yeah.
How old are you? You're like a little kid. Oh my God, how are you kids getting on my show? All right, and he said, well, I'm excited for you wherever you go. How long are you usually gone for? 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. I was already stationed overseas before, and that was 3 years. So where I'm going is potentially 1 to 2 years. Still trying to find that out. I got a lot of shit and a lot of personal shit going on that can affect the shift of that, but I will let you know though, especially since you're a big fan of the show, and I want to keep the show going, and I'll definitely let you know where I go, definitely offline. Devin, Devin, what are you doing?
I don't know.
I don't know either. How did you get on the show?
I was just looking for some lives.
Well, you found me, man. Oh my God. Yeah. Listen, I'm not even gonna bother you, man. You sound like a cool kid. I was just talking about video games. That's all I was just
You
talking
have
about. And then you
Fortnite?
popped
You
up.
have Fortnite?
No, man. Sorry, little man. I don't play Fortnite. I play Call of Duty. I played Fortnite one time, and it's just not for me, man. I know you. It sounds like you play Fortnite, which is pretty cool. But no, I play Call of Duty. I play Call of Duty. Yeah, sorry, man. But hey, I'm about to wrap up the show, Devin. I don't know how you got on the show, but thank you for joining the show. Shout out to Anna, Captain James, Rio, my executive producers. I didn't get Mahal tonight on here, which is crazy. Albino Monkey, you need to control your family because they're out of control right now. Control these people. And Devin, you have a good night, little man. I don't know how you got on the show, but yeah, I know Devin does seem like a good kid, man, because the last kid I had on here, I don't know how he got on the show, but he was like, I'm age appropriate to be on the show. And I'm like, all right, man. I was like, all right, man. All right, Devin. Well, you have a good night, man. You go play Fortnite, and everybody else, you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Again, stay tuned. Monday will be an episode.